Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much. We've shifted gears from lakes to to what Karthik's going to talk about. I think she's introduced Karthik. He's the founder of an organization called Purposeful Brands, which focuses on helping brands achieve their potential through identifying purpose and building and through social purpose, actually. And he's written a bunch of books that she talked about. I just read a FICCI report this morning. They've done a survey with about 100 companies listed on the National Stock Exchange to understand how companies were adopting the whole, CSR laws under the Companies Act. A couple of findings that I thought were interesting. One is that 77% of companies have reported an increase in spending, and they expect that spending to actually go up year on year. And a majority of the respondents found that, or said that ethical considerations were the prime reason that they were involved in CSR, and compliance was actually third on the list. So it's not that companies are doing it just because, there's a compliance requirement, but more because they feel they need to be good corporate citizens. But it's still early days, and I hope talking to Karthik will give us more light on, give us more food for thought. So Karthik's thesis is that CSR can be used by companies as an effective tool, as an effective business tool. So really the question is that the idea of CSR is to serve society, and branding is seen as a business tool. So how do you kind of reconcile these two apparently contradictory or opposing ideas?
Well, I think today business is all about trying to do two conflicting things at the same time. Speed and accuracy are two conflicting objectives, but companies try and figure out how to achieve both speed and accuracy at the same time. Similarly with productivity and quality. An increase in productivity normally leads to a fall in quality, but that's not acceptable, and therefore what they do is they try and figure out how to make two divergent agendas work. I'm not entirely sure that CSR and branding would be entirely divergent if they are brought together through the means of the brand, because the business is all about the brand, or the brand is all about the business. And if you can make the brand if you can align the CSR with the brand. So, for example, if you look at Horlicks, Horlicks is in the business of providing nutrition through its various offerings. And their CSR is all about providing nutrition to malnourished children in different parts of West Bengal and Tamil Nadu. So I think there's a clear alignment between what they're doing. And as human beings, we like to see pattern. We like to see logic in what's happening. So if the entire company is built around providing nutrition, then setting up a school, while it's a good thing, it probably would be more logical to align it with the brand, because then you can see a pattern and people say, I trust this company because it's in the business of nutrition, and it sees its responsibility also in the space of nutrition. So I think you can serve both purposes at the same time if you work it through the brand.
Sure. So do you think that this would be equally applicable for all kinds? Like with Horlicks, it's clear. I think Britannia also does a lot of work on nutrition. So what would, for instance, say an IT company do? Is there a natural corollary that would kind of, align with their business objectives?
Yes, I think what happens is sometimes it requires a little bit of ingenuity to find it out. But I think Mindtree is doing some great work in terms of using IT to support disabled people. And I think it's just about, if you believe in your business, then you will use your business skills to make it work for society also.
Sure, sure. So currently another challenge that we see, because we get a lot of grants from corporates, another challenge is that CSR is really a standalone department in an organization. It doesn't actually percolate through the entire organization. Mm-hmm. So how do you make CSR within an organization more than just, one group of people's responsibility? How do you make it a culture within the organization so that, you know, giving back to society is a more kind of ingrained or part of the company's DNA?
Yeah, I agree. So I've seen both kinds of companies. I've seen companies where CSR is kind of deeply embedded in the company, and I've seen some companies where CSR is almost isolated and something that is necessary to do, but it's not something that people within the company have entirely bought into. And I think the difference is because when you do CSR, which is in a way not really relevant to what the business is all about, it need not be supporting the business, but if it is just in a completely different field, then people start wondering. And you have 99% of the organization working towards achieving a business goal and doing something or the other which is aligned with the business, and you have 1% or less than 1% who are doing something in a completely tangential area. Now, I'm not saying it's bad, it's just that if you don't do it in the same direction, then people who are in the organization for a specific reason, who believe in what the company does, do not see an immediate fit with what this is doing. So I think aligning it through the brand would be the best way.
Yeah, also then you leverage the skills of, you know,
Absolutely.
the people that are
Yes.
in the organization. Great, thanks. So the next question is, does CSR deliver any direct business benefits?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. So if the brand is what the business is all about, and I think the brand is probably the most valuable asset that any organization has, CSR delivers tremendous benefits in terms of reputation, in terms of trust. In fact, if you look at what marketers try to achieve in terms of building trust, preference, relevance, differentiation, a lot of these benefits come through CSR. The entire Tata Group model that a Tata product is immediately preferred and has a whole lot of brand equity in whichever area they go is largely because people have a lot of implicit trust in the brand. Similarly, if you look at brands like Body Shop and Ben & Jerry's, they've been completely built because, and everything about these companies is because they get so much out of their CSR.
So how should a company brand its CSR? Are there, you know, is there a sensitive kind of paradigm within which you brand? You know, how much is enough, and you know, how much becomes too much?
Well, I think that's a bit of it's a sensitive thing because you want to get the maximum of visibility, but it also has to be authentic. The minute your branding overwhelms what you're actually doing, the branding of the CSR is larger than the initiative, then it starts losing its authenticity. So in the US, Philip Morris at one point of time had spent $15 million promoting a cause which said youngsters should not smoke. Then they spent $75 million running a campaign saying, you know, we are good guys, we encourage kids not to smoke. Now, it's completely inauthentic because the amount that you've spent on promotion is 5 times the amount you've spent on the initiative itself. So I think it becomes even more blatant when you plaster your logo all over the place on something which is not relevant. If you're a nutrition company and you're doing something in another space, it keeps on making people wonder, why is this nutrition company talking about, say, cataract surgeries? Why is their logo out there? Why? And that is what creates a certain amount of confusion and brand dissonance. And so it's a judgment call, but I think the amount of promotion that is required is the amount that will keep it authentic.
So I think the example that comes to mind is when Chennai had its devastating floods. A lot of the relief material that was going into Tamil Nadu got branded by, you know, the relevant political parties. So there was a fair degree of, you know, hue and cry, at least in the Twitterati, saying that it was completely the wrong thing to do. So there is relief material that volunteers are providing. Why should a political party kind of brand it? So clearly there are rules of communication, right? I mean, how do you communicate? How much do you communicate? And how do you communicate to the beneficiary? One thing is to communicate to, you know, the people who are buying your product, but you also need to equally communicate to the beneficiary. So, you know, any rules, any thumb rules to guide this?
I don't think there's a particular guideline as such. There are 2-3 things that come to mind. One is the fact that what you said is something which a lot of corporates don't do. They believe in talking to everyone except the beneficiary. But the beneficiary, while they deserve your support, they also deserve to be communicated to. And they deserve to know who is supporting them and why are they supporting them, how long will they continue to support them. And when you don't really communicate to them, then you're kind of leaving them at your mercy in a way, because they don't know who you are, why you're doing this, how long you're doing this. And if you only talk to investors, employees, and everyone who matters to your business and not to the people who are receiving this thing, then it's not complete CSR. It's kind of motivated. So I think talking to beneficiaries is extremely important. The other thing about communication is, I think with the 8,000, 10,000 companies doing CSR, it's important to try and figure out how to build an emotional connect, because if the business benefits from the CSR, there's nothing wrong in it, as long as it doesn't come at the expense of the initiative. So do authentic CSR, and if it works for the investors who are a part of whose money is going towards the CSR, there's nothing wrong. In which case you try and make it interesting, you make it relevant, you make it different, you make it engaging.
Sure. So last question, examples. I mean, give us examples of good CSR, both in India and, you know, internationally.
I'll give you 2 Indian examples, but let me start with the international example, because it made a huge difference to the company that did this. In around 93, Conagra, which is a large food brand which has around 50, 60 various offerings, and largely targeted towards mothers of kids, did this campaign which said every night 5 million American kids go to bed hungry. And this immediately shocked Americans, because they always expected that hungry kids would be there in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, but not in America. And it created a huge uproar. People immediately called the Conagra call center and said, what kind of nonsense is this? They said, okay, so just tell us, what is your PIN code? And once they gave the zip code and said, this is my zip code, they say, okay, there are estimated 5,800 hungry kids in your locality, which immediately prompted people to say, so this is terrible, what can I do about it? And they said, you can donate money, you can donate food. And so it was a nice campaign, because it was a very emotive subject. It got a lot of press and PR. It was a very, very relevant thing. 5 million hungry kids was a large problem. Today it's 16 million hungry kids, but it awakened the conscience of people. Mothers immediately felt a lot better about Conagra, and they were a lot more willing to buy Conagra products. And at the same time, it wasn't too large. It wasn't talking about global hunger. It wasn't talking about global child hunger. It was just a small niche program, and it worked very well. In India, I think Jagore was a great campaign, because it took Tata Tea, which was number 6 in the tea business, to number 2. And it wasn't a marketing campaign alone. When they said every morning, don't just wake up, awaken to issues around you. Have you got a voter ID? Are you going to vote in the election? Are you conscious about who you're going to vote for? Do something about corruption. They also enabled people to get their voter IDs. They provided information about the various candidates to help people choose their vote. They said, if you want to stop giving bribes, or if you want to tell us who you are bribing, then there's a website for that. So I thought that was a great campaign, and it took them from number 6 to number 2. They did a lot of good work for society. They also did a lot of good to the brand. The last example is, I think the Times of India did some really good work in terms of Teach India, Lead India, in terms of, that's what a newspaper is supposed to do. It's supposed to sensitize you to various social issues and kind of wake you up and make you want to do something about it. And Teach India was, I think, probably one of the best initiatives done in India till now. Worked very well for both the business and did a lot of social good.
I think Britannia Tiger Biscuits, Saving the
Abs-
Tiger.
absolutely.
A number of examples come to mind. So thank you, Karthik, for telling us that there is a way to synergize both the business objective and a society-focused objective, to make it work for both ends. So I'll open this up for questions now, and and Karthik will be happy to provide some answers. Hari, we can hear you.
I can't see you, but I can hear you.
There are a lot of brilliant people, leaders, corporate leaders, who have taken time and energy to start contributing to CSR, especially with United Way as well. Now, what I see personally and with the experience of some of my friends is that it doesn't really percolate all the way down to all the employees in the organization, maybe a few percentage. So, my question is about you talked about consumer brand and CSR. My question is about the employer brand and CSR. So, any insights which can be shared with the audience here, which can help percolate and transform into a better employer brand as a result of CSR activities?
So actually when we say branding, a lot of people associate it with advertising because that's the popular notion. But branding is all about building meaning. So a name like Pepsi, a name like Coke actually mean nothing. Branding is the entire process of making that name mean something. So when we talk about branding your CSR, it's not about getting a great logo or something like that. It's about making the CSR meaningful to people so that they start seeing the relevance of it and they start getting involved and engaged with it. Because CSR has to be something which is community mobilized. It can't just lie in the hands of a few rich people and a few NGOs. It is a collective responsibility. And when we talk about branding CSR, it's about how do you involve and engage all your stakeholders, employees and others to get behind your CSR, for which you need to make it relevant and different. But I think it's also about making it interesting, and we very rarely take the time to make it interesting. We just say we are planting trees or we are doing this. It's very cut and dried, but there is a large story behind it. There's a story of a place which is ravaged. There's a story of brave people who are taking time out, ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things. So there's a lot of interesting stuff there, but we don't really take the time to make it interesting and involve people. Yeah.
Operationalize the employee brand and CSR. See, the thing is, it has to start from the top. If you find that the CEO says, okay, let's do CSR activity, and he goes onto a golf course and plays golf and asks his employees to do cleaning the streets, it's not going to work. If the CEO or president comes and he adopts 4 streets, 4 weeks continuously he comes with his board members or next in line, then I think the meaning will percolate down to the last employee, even to the peon. The seriousness will be there, and that will become infectious to the community where that work is going to happen. That's how it can be taken forward.
Absolutely.
Any more questions? Great. Thank you so much, Karthik.
Thank you, Suzy. Yeah. That's right. Absolutely. Profit-making companies. I have no idea how much, it was voluntary, so when it was,
Current number is, yeah, the current number is about 22,000 crores. I don't know what it was before the CSR rules came in. Because that was, yeah,
Yeah.
voluntary, so, yeah. Great, thank you so much. Thanks for being a good
thank you,
audience.
Susie.